As the elegant restaurant doors swung open, revealing Mark Anderson sitting across from a distinguished elderly gentleman, Caroline Winters felt her stomach drop. The man whose job she had terminated just hours earlier, the quiet, dependable Mark who had never missed a day of work in 9 years, was dining with none other than Richard Donovan, the CEO of their parent company and her direct superior. The realization hit her like a physical blow. She had made a terrible mistake, one that would change everything. If you're moved by stories of justice, redemption, and second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming real-life inspired tales that remind us of the power of compassion and the unexpected ways life can turn around. Mark Anderson had been raising his daughter Emma alone since his wife's death from cancer 9 years ago. At 37, his life revolved around two things: being the best father he could be to Emma and maintaining his position as senior account manager at Winters Financial Solutions. The company had been his lifeline during the darkest period of his grief, providing stability when everything else had crumbled. "Daddy, can we please go somewhere special for my birthday this year?" Emma had asked one evening as Mark helped her with homework. At 15, Emma rarely asked for anything. She had grown up understanding their financial limitations and Mark's demanding work schedule. "What did you have in mind, sweetheart?" Mark asked, setting aside the stack of client reports he'd brought home. Emma's eyes lit up. "I found Mom's bucket list in her old journal. She always wanted to visit the oceanside resort. It's only 3 hours away, and they have this fancy restaurant right on the water." Her voice grew softer. "I thought maybe we could go there for her too, you know? Like we'd be celebrating with her." Mark felt his chest tighten. 9 years of birthdays had passed since his wife's death, 9 years of trying to fill the void she left. Not once had he taken a proper day off for something special. His vacation days had been saved for Emma's sick days, school events, and the occasional doctor's appointment. "It's just 2 days, Dad. Friday and Saturday. We'd be back Sunday morning," Emma continued, her hopeful expression breaking down his hesitation. "Let me check at work, but I think we can make that happen," Mark said, already mentally rearranging his schedule. The next morning, Mark approached Caroline Winters' office with his formal request. Caroline had taken over as department head 6 months earlier, and their relationship had been strictly professional. At 42, Caroline was known for her ambition and exacting standards. The company had been her life for 15 years, and she had sacrificed personal relationships to climb the corporate ladder. 2 days off. Next weekend? Caroline frowned, looking up from her computer. "Mark, you know we're in the middle of the Donovan account review. That presentation is scheduled for Monday morning." "I understand, Ms. Winters. I've already prepared most of the materials, and I can finalize everything before I leave Thursday evening." "I've never asked for personal days before," Mark explained. Caroline tapped her pen against her desk. "The Donovan account is our biggest client. I need all hands on deck for this." "It's my daughter's birthday," Mark said quietly. "It would mean a lot to us." After a moment's consideration, Caroline nodded curtly. "Fine. But I expect all your work to be completed beforehand, and I want you available by phone if anything comes up." Mark left her office feeling lighter than he had in years. That evening, he told Emma they were going to Oceanside Resort, and her excited squeal was worth any potential workplace complications. The weekend arrived, and for the first time in 9 years, Mark allowed himself to relax. Watching Emma explore the resort, her face glowing with joy, he realized how much they both needed this break from their routine. On Friday evening, they dined at the beachfront restaurant, where Emma insisted on ordering her mother's favorite meal from the bucket list. "To Mom," Emma said, raising her glass of sparkling cider. "I wish she could see you now, Dad. She'd be so proud of you." Mark felt tears prick his eyes. "She'd be even more proud of you, sweetheart." What Mark didn't know was that fate had more in store for them. At the table next to theirs sat an elderly gentleman dining alone. When Emma accidentally knocked over her glass, sending cider across the floor, the man handed her his napkin with a kind smile. "Thank you, sir." "I'm so sorry about that," Emma apologized. "Not to worry, young lady. Accidents happen," the man replied. "I couldn't help overhearing. Is today a special occasion?" "It's my birthday weekend," Emma explained. "And we're also kind of celebrating my mom, who passed away." The gentleman's eyes softened. "That's a beautiful tribute. If you don't mind an old man joining you for dessert, I'd like to buy you both a birthday cake." Mark started to politely decline, but Emma's enthusiastic acceptance made him relent. The gentleman introduced himself only as Richard, and they spent the next hour in pleasant conversation. Richard shared stories of his late wife and seemed genuinely interested in Emma's school activities and Mark's work. "You know, young man, family time is precious," Richard said as they parted ways. "Never let anyone make you feel guilty for prioritizing it." He handed Mark his business card. "If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to call." Mark tucked the card away without looking at it, thanking the kind stranger for his generosity. Their perfect weekend came to an abrupt end Saturday evening when Mark received an urgent call from Caroline Winters. "Where are the final projections for the Donovan presentation?" Caroline demanded, her voice sharp. "They're in the shared folder, labeled Donovan Final," Mark replied, stepping away from Emma, who was building a sandcastle on the beach. "They're not there, Mark. I've looked everywhere. I need you to come in right now." Mark explained that he was 3 hours away with his daughter. "I can access the files remotely." "This is exactly why I didn't want you taking time off right now," Caroline interrupted. "This presentation could determine the future of our company. If you're not here within 2 hours, don't bother coming in on Monday." The ultimatum hung between them. Mark looked at Emma, happier than he'd seen her in years, and made his decision. "I'm sorry, Ms. Winters, but I can't leave my daughter alone at a resort. I'll send you the files remotely, and I'll be in early Monday morning." Caroline's response was cold. "Don't bother. Your position has just been terminated. You can pick up your things on Tuesday." The call ended, leaving Mark stunned. 9 years of dedicated service, countless late nights, and exceptional performance evaluations, all erased in a moment. How would he support Emma now? The weight of his new reality threatened to crush him, but he forced a smile as he returned to his daughter. "Everything okay, Dad?" Emma asked, noticing his expression. "Everything's fine, sweetheart. Let's enjoy the rest of our weekend." On Sunday morning, as they were checking out, Mark ran into Richard again in the lobby. The older man immediately sensed something was wrong. "You look troubled, son," Richard observed. Before Mark could respond, Emma jumped in. "Dad got fired last night because we're here instead of at work. His boss called and said not to come back." Richard's expression darkened. "Is that so? May I ask where you work, Mark?" "Winters Financial Solutions," Mark replied. "It's my fault. I knew the timing wasn't ideal, but—" Richard raised a hand to stop him. "Winters Financial? That's one of my company's subsidiaries. And who is your supervisor?" "Caroline Winters," Mark said, confused by the question. A smile spread across Richard's face as he pulled out his phone. "Give me one moment, please." Mark finally looked at the business card Richard had given him. Richard Donovan, CEO, Donovan Enterprises. The pieces fell into place with shocking clarity. The Donovan account that Caroline was so worried about wasn't just a client, it was the parent company, and Richard Donovan himself was the CEO they were presenting to on Monday. Richard's phone call was brief but authoritative. When he hung up, he turned to Mark with a satisfied expression. "Ms. Winters has been instructed to expect you at 9 a.m. tomorrow, not as an employee, but as my personal guest. It seems we need to discuss the company's policies regarding family leave and work-life balance." Monday morning arrived with a surreal quality. Mark entered the conference room where the entire executive team, including a visibly nervous Caroline Winters, waited for the Donovan presentation. When Richard Donovan walked in with Mark at his side, the room fell silent. "Before we begin," Richard announced, "I want to introduce you all to my friend Mark Anderson." Mark and his daughter Emma were kind enough to share their special weekend with me at Oceanside Resort. "Mark, would you like to tell everyone what happened when your boss discovered you were taking your first vacation in 9 years to celebrate your daughter's birthday?" All eyes turned to Mark, who recounted the events calmly and without embellishment. Caroline stared at her hands, her face ashen. When Mark finished, Richard addressed the room. "Effective immediately, I'm implementing a company-wide policy review focusing on family support and work-life balance. Ms. Winters, I expect your full cooperation in this initiative." He paused, looking directly at Caroline. "And Mark will be overseeing it in his new position as Director of Employee Relations, reporting directly to me." The meeting proceeded with the scheduled presentation, but everyone understood that something fundamental had shifted. As they filed out afterward, Caroline approached Mark hesitantly. "I didn't know," she began, her voice uncharacteristically uncertain. "About your wife, about it being your first time off in 9 years. I just saw the timing and the presentation and—" "You saw the work, but not the person," Mark finished for her. "We all get caught in that trap sometimes." Caroline nodded, the truth of his words sinking in. "I haven't taken a day off in 5 years myself," she admitted. "My sister's been asking me to visit her new baby for months." For the first time, Mark saw beyond Caroline's polished exterior to the loneliness beneath. "Maybe you should," he suggested. "Some things are worth more than any account." 6 months later, Winters Financial Solutions had transformed. Under the new policies, employee retention improved dramatically, and surprisingly, so did productivity. Mark's department became a model for the entire Donovan network. Emma's 16th birthday celebration included a surprise guest, Caroline Winters, who had slowly become a friend and mentor to the teenager. The former boss had found her own second chance, reconnecting with her family and discovering that vulnerability wasn't weakness after all. As they celebrated around the dinner table, Richard Donovan raised his glass in a toast to chances encounters, second chances, and the reminder that behind every employee is a human being with a story worth knowing. Mark looked around at the unlikely gathering, his daughter, his former boss, and the CEO who had changed their lives with a simple act of kindness, and felt a profound gratitude. Sometimes life's hardest moments led to unexpected blessings, and sometimes the people who seemed to be obstacles became the most surprising allies. That weekend at Oceanside Resort had begun as a tribute to the past but had ultimately opened the door to a future none of them could have imagined, one where work and life existed not in conflict, but in harmony. If this story touched your heart, remember that compassion and understanding can transform lives in ways we never expect. Like and subscribe for more stories that remind us of our shared humanity and the power of giving people second chances. Sometimes the most beautiful new beginnings come disguised as painful endings, we just need the courage to keep turning the page.